What's up, my fellow actors? Kurt Yu here from actingcareercenter.com. Hey, we're in my hotel room again because I'm still working on that project that I mentioned in last week's video. I'm having a lot of fun working on this project. Can't wait for it to come out so I can share it with all of you guys. Now, before we get into today's topic, I actually do want to mention one other thing from the video from last week. If you remember, the topic of last week's video is what happens when an actor gets their scenes cut from a movie or a television show, and I shared a couple examples of times when my scenes were cut from movies and shows. And as soon as I posted that video last week, I got a lot of questions in the comments, a lot of the same question in the comments. And I should have seen this question coming. I should have addressed it in the video, and that was my fault because it's a very good question. The question was, when an actor gets their scenes cut from a project, do they still get paid? And the answer is yes and no. So let me explain. When you work on a project, whether it's a movie or a TV show or a commercial, the days that I work on set, I get paid for no matter what. And usually that check, especially if it's a union project, that check's going to come in like 2 to 3 weeks max. So you're going to get that check pretty soon, and you get paid for working those days, no matter what, whether you get cut or not. And now let's say the movie comes out like 6 months from now or a year from now. When that movie comes out, and I go watch that movie and I look for my scenes and my scenes were cut, well, that means that if such a movie has residuals, which most union productions in the United States, movies and TV shows and commercials, those projects will have residuals, and the residual payments do not get paid to anybody who was cut from the project. I could do a whole nother video on what residual payments are, but in a nutshell, residual payments are payments that you get in addition to what you got paid for your days that you worked on set. And the payments are for future uses of the project. So when a person buys a DVD, so if somebody buys a DVD of a project that I was in, then like I get a few pennies. But if thousands of people buy those DVDs, it all kind of adds up to future residual payments. And now obviously DVDs are kind of a thing of the past, but if people buy the movie video on demand, or if a streaming service picks up the movie to show for a period of time, like all of that ends up going to the production company, and the production company disperses it to all the people that get residuals. Now, if you were an actor in the movie and your scenes were in the movie, then you get those residual payments. But if your scenes were cut and you're no longer in the movie or a TV show, whatever it is, then you do not get those residual payments. So that's the answer to that question. When your scenes get cut, you still get paid for the days that you work, but you don't get the future payments in residuals. Okay, let's move on to today's topic, which are acting career regrets. And I thought about doing this topic, and I didn't know if I should do it because I'm not really like way down. I'm not like in my 70s or 80s. I don't have a huge long career yet. But I still feel like there are some things I can talk about in the amount of time that I have been working in the industry and the things that I may or may not regret doing. One of the questions that I get a lot, whether it's comments on my YouTube channel or just people asking me in person, is do you regret not starting your career earlier? If you are a follower of my channel, or if you just happen to know me, you may have heard me tell the story of how I got started. And I started at the age of 26. I didn't do any acting before I was 26 years old. So I started relatively late compared to, I guess, a lot of people, right? And so people have asked me, you know, do you regret not starting like 5 years earlier, or 10 years earlier, or 15 years earlier, right? What if you started when you were 20 or 15 or 10 years old? Wouldn't you be like 15 years ahead in your career right now if you had started that young? And I guess it's possible, right? But nobody can really predict like what would have happened had I done something differently. But my answer actually is no. I do not regret starting at the age of 26. I actually really like the fact that I started at that age for a few reasons. Number one, had I started younger, had I started like as a teenager or as like a 12-year-old, I'm not 100% sure I would have had the mental toughness to handle this industry, because to be honest, this is a really tough career to pursue, and it takes mental strength, it takes thick skin, and it takes patience for sure. And those are three traits that I don't think I had when I was a younger kid. Even in my teenage years or early 20s, I don't think I had those traits quite yet. And I feel like, not that at 26 I was really good at that, but I do feel like I was better at all of those things than I was when I was younger. So who knows what would have happened had I started at a younger age, because it's possible. I think it's very possible that if I started at like 14 and I went on 20 auditions and I didn't book any of them, there's a very real possibility that 14-year-old Kurt would have been like, this sucks. I must be a terrible actor. This career is terrible. I go on 14 auditions, or I go on 20 auditions and I don't even book them. I must be terrible. I quit. And that very well could have happened. I might have quit my acting career entirely at a young age because I didn't have the mental strength or the patience or the thick skin to deal with all that. But starting a little bit later in my life as an adult, I had those traits a little bit more ingrained in me, and I was able to kind of push through all that to continue, so that as a 26-year-old, 27, 28, as I continued to grow in my career, and if I went on 20 auditions and didn't book any of them, I was okay with it, and I knew that this was all part of the process. But I think as teenagers or young kids, we're so impatient. We want things right away, and when things don't come, we tend to just quit, and that very well may have happened to me. So that's why I have no regrets of starting at the age that I did. And this actually is a lesson that I think every young actor should take to heart, is that this is a marathon, not a sprint. You've probably heard a lot of people say it that way. And that we have to have patience in this career. And if you don't have that patience, you're very likely to quit earlier than you should. Not that you ever should, but a lot of actors, young actors especially, they quit because they feel like, oh, my career's not going anywhere, after only doing it for a couple years. When in reality, it takes a long time, much longer than a couple years, to build an acting career. So the next question that I get sometimes is, do you regret not doing more theater when you first started? And this I absolutely do regret. When I first started my acting classes in Cleveland, Ohio, and I was just getting my first few lessons in acting and just learning how to do everything, I should have done more theater. I should have auditioned for theater, and hopefully I would have been cast in a play here or there and done it. And this is not like doing anything for money. This is a lot of community theater. Most of it is unpaid. But I should have done it for the experience, and I should have done it for the training, and I should have done it to become a better actor. The reason I say that is this. I've gotten a chance to work on a lot of movies and TV shows now, and I've gotten a chance to work with a lot of actors. And it always seems to be the case that the actors with a theater background, who have done some theater in their past, always seems to be the better actors on set, because they have that experience and they have that training. And theater it simply makes people better actors. And I should have realized this when I was just getting started in my career, but I was kind of like tunnel vision focused on, I want to be an on-camera actor. And I think there are a lot of actors out there that are like that, who really have no interest in doing theater. They want to be on TV and they want to be in movies. But I think it's really important to understand that theater acting is a great training ground for your future as a film and television actor. You see a lot of the Oscar-winning and Emmy-winning actors nowadays, a lot of them, almost all of them, have a theater background, and that's what made them into the great actors that they are today. So I really do. That is one of my regrets. I wish I would have done much more theater when I was just getting started. And it's a fair question that a lot of people will then ask is, well, why don't you just do more theater now? And that's a tough thing right now, because I am working so much in film and television, and unfortunately, theater just does not pay as much. It's the truth that theater doesn't pay as well as film and television, and it's harder for me now to accept a theater job, because that takes away from me auditioning for film and TV for the run of the show. And when I was just getting started, I wasn't auditioning for film and TV, so it doesn't matter if I took a theater job. So that was the time to do it. So I feel like for those of you who are new, who are just getting started, if you get the opportunity to do theater, even if your future goals do not include theater, even if your future goals really only include film and TV, I highly encourage you to do it, because it can provide extremely valuable training for your film and TV career, and it will make you a better actor. Do I regret moving to Atlanta instead of LA for my acting career? Absolutely not. This is an easy question to answer. I'm so happy with my decision to move to Atlanta for numerous reasons. Number one, I'm able to afford to live in a place that is not a tiny little apartment, because I know, based on my budget of what I could afford in Atlanta, when I was looking at LA, it would have had to be a much, much smaller place because LA is so expensive to live in. The other reason is that it really blows my mind to see how far my career has come in the last 5 years that I've lived in Atlanta. Would I have had the same amount of success in LA? Possibly, but somehow I doubt it. Somehow I doubt I could have done what I've been able to do in Atlanta had I gone to LA. If anything, it would have taken a little bit longer, I think, because I was able to get my agent in Atlanta almost immediately. And in LA, I know from experiences of friends that have moved out there, just getting their first agent, getting their first auditions, that tends to take a long time to build up that momentum. And I kind of just hit the ground running right away here in Atlanta. So for those reasons, I have zero regrets for where I moved. I know LA is kind of the mecca of the acting world, but Atlanta's grown a ton, and Atlanta has become a huge, huge film and television production hub. And the projects that are filming in Atlanta are amazing. I've had chances to work on and audition for some amazing projects, so I have no regrets for coming to Atlanta. Do I regret studying computer science in college instead of studying acting or theater? And this kind of goes back to the original question of, do I regret not starting my acting career earlier? And the answer is kind of the same. I don't regret that at all. I don't regret studying computer science. In fact, I think it really helped me in terms of my acting career, because from a financial standpoint, I already had my full-time job when I started pursuing acting, when I first started taking acting classes. So I didn't really have the financial pressure of trying to figure out how I'm going to pay for acting classes, how I'm going to pay for headshots, how am I going to survive when acting's not paying me any money, because I had my full-time job already. I was financially stable with my other career, and I could kind of leisurely pursue acting at whatever pace I wanted to do, and there wasn't the pressure of, oh, I got to book this acting job because I need the money from it. Right? And because of that, taking that pressure away from me allowed me to kind of pursue it a little bit more freely. And so that's why I think studying computer science in college, then getting that full-time job and working in the corporate world and becoming financially stable before starting on my acting career, I'm super happy that that was the path that my career took. Obviously, that's not everybody's career path, but for me, that's how it ended up happening, and I have no regrets. Okay, that's it for this video. Those were my acting career regrets / not regrets. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. Got any questions? Leave them down in the comments below, and until next time, keep practicing, keep learning, and I hope to see you on set one day.